Hi,
Hi,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. The first step to a successful Zoom.
All right, I just want to thank you again for taking time out of your day to do this interview. I know that you've been busy with your re-election and election day is going to be on Tuesday, so I can
That's
imagine
right.
how busy you've been with that. How optimistic are you about your re-election chances?
Well, I'll tell you, Jose, we're 4 days away from the election, and I feel really good. We're in a strong position. I had a terrific showing in the primary. I won by 12 points, but I'm also not taking anything for granted. And so we are working really, really hard. We're going to make sure that we run through the finish line, and we've got a strong campaign we're running. So yes, it's going to be a busy 4 days, and it's fun to sit down and spend a little time with you.
Okay, thank you. So before I ask my questions, I just wanted to let you know that this interview will be recorded and it will be uploaded to my high school's media news website, which is called sorry, the Hitching Post.
Great.
My teacher runs it, so he's aware of this interview and everything. So students from our school will be able to rewatch this interview and post comments about it. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, so my first question, what made you want to get into politics and run for public office?
Well, when I decided to run in 2018, that was the first time that I had ever run for office. First time I have served an elected office has been this job, and I decided to run. I'll tell you, the 2016 election was really a galvanizing moment for me. And I think, like millions of people across the country, I was devastated by the outcome of the 2016 election. And after a few weeks of crying and feeling angry, I decided again, thankfully, like millions of people across the country, not to get mad, not to get sad, but to get busy and get organized. And I looked at the folks that were representing me at every level, were representing my community at every level, from president to state senate to state assembly, and felt like they were not representing my values, weren't focused on the issues that I care about, the issues that our community cares about, and that they just weren't delivering for the district. And so I decided to take on an incumbent Republican assembly member who, like I said, I just didn't think he was doing the job, and decided that it was time for him to retire. And so we ran in 2018 for the first time, built an incredible grassroots operation. We were kind of the little campaign that honestly no one thought we could pull it off. All the political experts and the political establishment, they didn't think we had a chance, but it was regular folks in the community who believed in me and worked really hard on my first campaign. And with their help, I was elected for the first time in 2018, won re-election in 2020, and just really proud of everything that I've been able to accomplish representing our community. And it really is, it's really an honor and a privilege to be in this role and to be serving our community right now.
That's inspiring. I actually did a check on your past political experience, and you're like an outsider. You just ran and you won. That's just really inspiring, you know. I really like
Thank you.
political outsiders. I think the average, person can relate to them a lot more than, the career politician. Uh,
100%, 100%.
so my second question is, what kind of work do you do on a daily basis as a assemblywoman? Like, what does your average like typical day look like?
Like I said, there really is. It's a job where there really is no typical day. It is every day is new, which is part of why it's fun and fascinating and interesting. And my job is split between our legislative work, which is centered around the Capitol. And so I spend about half of my time working in Sacramento, and then focused on district work and constituent services, and helping folks with state agencies with challenges that they may be having navigating certain parts of the government, or even getting a driver's license from the DMV, or collecting their unemployment insurance benefits from EDD. And so I spend about 50% of my time here in the district, and when I'm not here, I have a great team of folks who are focused on constituent services, and like I said, just helping meet the needs of our community, and making sure that government is working for the people that we represent. And then when I'm up in Sacramento, during our legislative session, a lot of my time is focused on both the bills that I have written and that I have authored, moving those through our legislative process, and also reviewing the thousands of proposals that come before me every year, to determine whether or not I think that these new ideas and new proposed laws make sense for our district and make sense for the community. So it's a huge mix of meetings with constituents, meetings with stakeholders, conversations with my colleagues, but it's a fascinating and really ultimately really rewarding job.
Yeah. All right. So my third question is, what advice would you give to high school students who want to get involved with politics?
And I'm so glad, I'm so glad that you are asking me that, because I feel like, frankly, there's a lot of young people who feel like their voice just doesn't matter, that, it doesn't matter whether they vote or not, nothing's going to change. And that's really kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the truth of it is that political power is, it's kind of like a superpower. It's kind of magic, because it is the one thing in the world that I can think of where the more you use it, the more you build. So if I've got $1 and I give you 20 cents, I got 80 cents, right? I got less money. With political power, if you show up and you vote in every election, if you are paying attention to what's happening in the legislative process, in your community, with local issues, and your elected people know that you're paying attention, know that you're watching them, and know that you're going to show up and vote again, guess what? They start to pay attention to the issues that you care about, and you build more power. So whether you care about climate action, or you care about reproductive freedom, or you care about the student debt crisis, or combating homelessness and building more affordable housing, whatever it is that you are passionate about, the way to build your political power is to use your political power. And that starts with showing up at the ballot box and voting, and making sure that your voice is heard.
I completely agree with that statement. I couldn't have worded it better. I think it's really important to get involved with that stuff and to vote in every election. I think that's just really important, especially
Yep.
for seniors in my school that are going to turn 18 soon, to vote in every election. So next question I have for you is a huge issue that we have here in Orange County, specifically where I live in Costa Mesa, and overall in the 74th district, is that we have a really big homeless crisis in our area. And I live near a few public parks, and every time I pass there, I always see homeless people there. And it's just really sad to see that kind of stuff. And it's been an ongoing issue here for years. It's not a new issue, and a huge portion of those homeless people are actually veterans. And I checked your committees, and you are in a Veterans Affair Committee. So have you been interested in putting forth any legislation to help solve this problem? It's a problem in our district, but it's a problem overall in the entire state of California. So
Jose, that's absolutely right. We are confronting a statewide homelessness crisis that is when I talk to voters all across the community and really all across the state, one of the top concerns on people's mind. And I'm really glad that you asked about veterans, and the timing is actually kind of perfect. I just earlier today, I hosted our fourth annual Veteran of the Year celebration, where we honor one veteran from each of the cities that I represent. And it's always just such an inspiring and incredible day, and just an opportunity for us to, in a small way, honor those men and women who have sacrificed so much for our country and sacrificed so much for our freedoms. And as you mentioned, I am on the Assembly's Committee on Veterans Affairs, and ensuring that we improve services for our local veterans has been one of my top priorities from day one. So actually in my very first term in office, I worked with the Orange County United Way, and I was able to secure $2.9 million in state funding for a program called Welcome Home OC. And the goal of that program is to end veterans homelessness here in Orange County. And the simple fact, and I think it's something that we all agree on, is that no one who has served this country, no one who has sacrificed for our democracy should ever find themselves without a roof over their head, should never find themselves sleeping on the street. And that was why this was such a priority for me. And we've been able to utilize this funding over the course of the last 2 years to house 100, to permanently house 100 homeless veterans here in Orange County. And while there's still more work to do and more veterans to serve, that is one of the things that, when I look back on the last 4 years, I am most proud of the work that I've been able to do on that program. And what's really unique about this is that Welcome Home OC, this program, we don't just put a roof over someone's head. We ensure that they have the wraparound services, particularly mental health and other supportive services that many veterans need to stay housed, and to ensure that that they have all of the supports that they need to continue to be successful.
I didn't know that you the public housing thing, you paid like, I mean, you helped pass legislation to house homeless people. I didn't know that.
Yes, so help secure state funding to house homeless veterans in Orange County. And then another thing that that we worked on and advocated for this year and secured state funding for statewide, it has been to increase the funding for veterans homeless housing prevention program all across the state. And I'm really glad that you asked about that, and I'm glad that that is something that's a priority for you as well.
Yeah. So another priority that a lot of voters have in mind is climate change. So we live near the beach, and in Costa Mesa, in my school, in Costa Mesa High School, they do teach us a lot about climate change, but a lot of us students feel like politicians aren't really doing much about it. So do you have any legislative plans to do anything about climate change, or do you plan to like co-sponsor any bills relating to that?
Yes, and climate action and confronting the climate crisis has also been another one of my top priorities. And I think we all recognize that the climate crisis is here. It's now, it's urgent. There are times when it feels like California is a disaster movie, right? We've got severe drought, 100-year floods, catastrophic wildfires, sea level rise. We are dealing with the realities of the climate crisis here in California each and every day. And we are certainly acting with urgency here in California. And in fact, in this past legislative year, the legislature took action to accelerate our clean energy goals, to ensure that we are making investments to actually achieve those goals. And we also made some really important investments to build climate resilience, because even as we look to achieve our emissions goals, even as we look to, as I said, accelerate our transition to clean energy sources, we know that we need to do more to safeguard California and to safeguard our communities from the ravages of the climate crisis. And so that means investing in programs to mitigate the impacts of drought, wildfire, sea level rise. And that's another area where I've been really, really focused in my time in the legislature. So I am definitely going to continue that push on building climate resilience. The other thing that I'm really focused on is, as we've made these enormous and historic investments in our state budget over the course of the last year, we now have to make sure that we're bringing that funding back to our district, back here at home, and that those historic investments are yielding historic results, and we're getting our money's worth for that, for those investments. And then the third area, which actually I'm super excited about working on more in the upcoming legislative session, is really on the work that we need to do here in California to incentivize investment and growth in clean tech and the emerging green energy sector. And this is really important to me for a couple of reasons. So number one, our emissions goals are important, right? But lowering emissions in California, that does not move the needle on a global scale. The way that California can really have an impact on confronting the climate crisis on a global scale is by California being the birthplace for the breakthrough innovations, the breakthrough technologies that enable us to actually tackle the climate crisis. So whether that's carbon capture technologies or other clean engineering technologies that are emerging right now. And I think we've got to do more here in California and be smarter about the way that we incentivize those kinds of innovations. Because guess what? If it happens here in California, we also ensure that as we're confronting the climate crisis, we are enabling California to continue to grow and to prosper and continue to be a global and world-class economy. So I'm going to be doing more work in that space next year. So stay tuned.
Yeah. So another issue, if you look at voters that are voting in the 2022 midterm, top concern for them is, inflation, and then you have abortion as well. And in June, the Supreme Court, as you know, did overturn Roe v. Wade, which allowed state legislators like California State Assembly and State Senate to ban abortion statewide. And we saw it happen in Indiana. The state Senate and House there voted to ban it. And a lot of young voters and a lot of voters that are 18 to 20 years old, one of their top priorities and concerns is abortion. So in the next legislative session, are you planning to vote for any, abortion related bills, maybe codify it into the state constitution? Or what's your thoughts on that?
So Jose, this is, it's a scary time in America, and reproductive rights are under assault all across the country. You listed a couple of examples. Right now, 14 states have banned abortion or enacted near total bans on abortion, and 12 more states are poised to do the same. So we're talking about half the states in the country who are restricting women's fundamental reproductive rights and fundamental freedoms. And we're seeing just evidence of these powerful forces kind of trying to drag us backwards. And I'm 47 years old. I was born in 1975. So Roe was 2 years old when I was born. This is a right that, not just your generation, but my generation, we have known all our lives. And knowing that, our daughters and our nieces are enjoying fewer freedoms than we have known. It's the first time that's ever happened in American history. And I think that is certainly why this has become such a huge issue and such an important issue in this election. And I'll tell you that, for me, even though this was a, total punch to the gut to see Roe overturned, we were prepared in California. And so actually at the very beginning of this year, my colleagues and I in the Legislative Women's Caucus introduced a package of 15 bills. And I was the co-author on all those bills, and I was the lead author on one of those bills, a package of bills to protect and expand access to reproductive health care here in California. And our bills do everything from ending cost sharing for abortion services to ensuring civil liberties protections for clinicians, doctors, and other practitioners who are providing services for women that may be coming from states like Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and also legislation to strengthen our reproductive health care workforce. We also, I was proud to co-author something called SCA 10, which put Prop 1 on the ballot. And I am working closely with our legislative leaders, with our governor, our lieutenant governor, to pass Prop 1. And that will enshrine reproductive freedom into California's constitution, including access to abortion services and access to birth control. And so that's a really, really important step in our fight to protect and preserve reproductive rights for California women. And I hope that young people and my generation and across the board, that we go to the polls in 4 days to ensure that Prop 1 passes and we protect reproductive rights for Californians.
Oh, I really appreciate, we're about to hit the 30-minute mark, which was my goal for this interview. So I just want to thank you again for taking time out of your day. I know, you've been busy trying to get reelected. So I can only imagine how busy you've been. And I really, really appreciate you, taking time and speaking to someone like me that lives in the district. And for people that are going to be watching this, people that attend Costa Mesa High School that also live in the district. So I just want to thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. And thank you for spotlighting this election. And to everybody watching, if you can, vote. Make sure that your voice is heard in this election.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good rest.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.